Hi, I'm Akash, and today we're going to be talking about copyrights, one of the basic forms of intellectual property. We'll go over what can be copyrighted, what is subject to a copyright, and then go over some key features that discuss how a copyright is different from other forms of intellectual property. Copyright is a type of intellectual property that protects creative works. Now, creative works is a broad heading, but it includes things like literary works, which are books, articles, and newspapers, dramatic works, which is film, television, plays, and so on, musical works, such as sound recordings, compositions, songs, and other artistic works, like sculpture, paintings, and art installations. Now, the concept of a creative work can seem fairly intuitive, but there are a few unusual applications, areas where copyright applies that you would not necessarily assume. For example, software, which at its core is a written-out series of code, fits much more neatly into the regime of copyright than patent, even though it is a technological creation. Similarly, databases fall into the regime of copyright law, even though it's just a list of information within the concept of Indian copyright law. So now that we've gone over some of the basics of a copyright, let's discuss the key features of copyrights that differentiate them from other forms of intellectual property, like patents, trademarks, trade secrets, and the like. Now, there are several key features of copyright that make it different from other forms of intellectual property. The first is that a copyright is created at creation, which is to say that when you register a copyright, that registration does not in and of itself create your copyright. The copyright exists the minute the work was put down in tangible form. It's an inherent right of the creator. The second aspect is that copyright can be enforced internationally. Now, through convention and the enforcement of WIPO, which is a subdivision of the World Trade Organization, all WTO member nations are required to recognize copyrights issued in any WTO member nation. So that means that no matter what country you got your copyright registered in, no matter what company you created your work in, it is enforceable in any jurisdiction. And finally, there's the fair use exception, which is a fairly broad limitation on the ability to enforce your copyright. Now, there are a few caveats to the fair use exception, and we can go into these in a subsequent video, but this is a broad exception that is not present to a similar degree in other forms of intellectual property. So as you can see, copyrights are a useful tool for protecting your creative works. There are many key features that make it a very strong form of intellectual property. And if you want to know how a copyright can help protect your work from infringement, please consult an intellectual property attorney. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to give us a like, give us a comment with any thoughts that you have on the subject matter, and subscribe to see more content coming soon. Thanks.